Now, this episode would help you, particularly if you do any form of creation, whether you're a YouTuber, a musician, let's say content creator, you're a writer, anything or any activity you are involved in that has to do with coming up with ideas and getting ideas. Now, how do you get ideas? How do you also make sure that you always, the underlying word is always, have ideas in stock so that whenever you need them, you can be able to get through your idea bank and then have ready-made ideas that you can produce or you can further work on to give out a finished product. My name is Appiah Mehra. This is Panta Podcast, where we talk about everything. If you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe. If you are listening to this on Spotify, please give us a follow. Now, I'm coming to tell you about a story about me and my father. I always used to, sit in front of my father's car whenever we were going somewhere because, I was that close to my father and we usually went everywhere together. So, usually this is what happens. I'm sitting in my father's car and then we'll talk about numerous topics of things, variety of things that could possibly happen, and then that is how we go on trips. So maybe we're going somewhere, we'll be talking, my father will be advising me, giving me life lessons. And one thing that was always evident, or one thing that was always constantly repeating, is my father telling me about his new plans and his new ideas, things that he wants to introduce into his business, how he wants to improve upon his business. And so I think I was 16 years at that time. I was just normal around sitting in the front seat of my father's car. We're going somewhere. And then I asked him, how do you always get ideas? Because he seemed to have an endless flow of ideas, which he's always ready to pour out. And I was wondering, how does he come up with such ideas? What does he do to give out those ideas? And his response was something that at that time I took for granted, but then growing up along the line, I realized how valuable what he told me was and how it has continued to shape me and help me live my life. Now, this is what my father told me. My father told me that ideas are given to humans by quote unquote angels. There are angels which are responsible for giving out ideas, these supernatural beings which bring ideas and put them into the heads of people. Now, this is what he said. He said that when these angels of ideas are bringing the new ideas or freshly baked ideas, they do not just give the ideas to one person at a time. So one idea is given to, let's say, 1,000 other people who would be potentially able to develop that idea and turn it into something more profitable. Now, once the idea is deposited into these individuals, the person who would be able to firstly develop that idea and come up with something beneficial with that idea is the person that gets to own the ideas. And so you might have the ideas, but then sometimes you realize that you are there and then something pops up in your head. You want to do this, you get an idea, and then you just forget about it. It's just one of those things. But then you realize as time goes on, weeks later, months later, you realize that somebody has developed that idea into something that is working. And so when the ideas drop, the fastest person to take action, the fastest person who is going to act on that idea is the person that is going to get the ownership of the idea. And the regularity of how these quote unquote angels of ideas give people ideas is that when you consistently are able to develop ideas given to you, or if you're able to always turn the ideas that are given to you into something more beneficial, then they would always bring you such ideas because they know that you're a potential person, you're a person who takes action, you're somebody who can be able to develop that idea when it has been given unto you. Now, when he said this at that time, I was young, naive. I just took it for granted. But then, as I said, as time went on, I realized that was something very valuable, something that was a gem, something that would go ahead and help me in my years ahead. Now, if you are still confused, I'm going to explain these things step by step as to how you can also be able to get ideas each and every time. Always. It's a fail-proof method that I'm about to teach you here. And so let's just get right into it. Now, the first thing that you should know here is the myth of inspiration. Now, I always hear people that, I'm waiting for inspiration, I'm looking for inspiration, I want an idea to come to me before I am able to develop it. Now, the bitter truth is that ideas would never come to you. You have to go to the ideas, or you have to put yourself in a position where you are able to get those ideas. Ideas themselves won't enter your head by chance or by accident. Now, picture it this way. There is a Wi-Fi signal somewhere, and you're also just at your location, and you expect that you will be able to, connect to that Wi-Fi. But then where you are is completely far from the Wi-Fi range, and you are not able to connect to the Wi-Fi. What do? You don't sit there and wait for the wind to blow the Wi-Fi into where you are. You have to go into the area in which the network is strong. And so you have to position yourself in a way or in a place mentally where you would be able to receive such of these ideas. And so you do not wait for inspiration or ideas to come to you. You have to actively search for those ideas. The second thing is the input-output rule. Now, in IT or in computing, there is a statement that garbage in, garbage out. And so what you feed your brain with is what it would give you back. And so if you want to constantly be getting ideas, you have to be feeding your brain with valuable information, things that will help you get ideas every day or frequently. Now, let me read something for you. If you want to get ideas, you need great input. Your brain is like a blender. If you put in boring, repetitive content, you get boring, repetitive ideas. And so, just as I said, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you feed your brain with is the type of ideas you get. And so, if you want to be able to get ideas on a specific niche or a specific something, you should constantly be able to feed your brain with such activities. Now, here's what to do. Read widely. Books, Reddit, threads, whatever. Expand your knowledge. Read on things that are valuable to you, things that you want to get ideas of. You have to read extensively, either soft copy or hard copy. Just be reading, getting more of these ideas. Now, in this world, the readers are leaders. In fact, all the rich people that you'd listen to them, if you listen to Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, any of these super billionaires in the world, they'll tell you that reading is something that should be taken very serious. In fact, reading books is underrated to me, because the potential you would get, or the ideas and the power you get from reading books, is something that is not talked about enough. Now, also watch and listen to different perspectives. Listen to people who have different perspectives, different ideas. Watch them, listen to them. So you can do this through podcasts, documentaries, YouTube videos. Watch people who have ideas, people who can be able to influence you, people who are in the same field as you are, or the same field you are aspiring to be. Let them share their experiences to you. Let them give you their brain. Let them feed you with what they know already, the experience they have. And then surround yourself with creative people. So know the type of friends you keep around you. Know the type of people who are in your inner circle. Know the type of people who are around you. And now surrounding yourself with creative people or like-minded individuals would help you. There are conversations you are going to have with these people that would give you ideas. They would talk about business. So when you surround yourself with these like-minded individuals, let's say you have friends or people in your inner circle where you talk about business ideas, opportunities, financial breakthrough and stuff, these people will also share their experiences with you. You cohabitate or parasite on each and everyone's ideas. So you feed upon my ideas, I feed upon your ideas. We help each other grow. So make sure that the people you are keeping in your inner circle is something or are people that have valuable ideas. So you don't just allow anybody into your inner circle. Choose. You have to be very specific about the type of people who you hang around with or who you allow to hang around you. So the takeaway from this point is that the more input you have, the more output you get. So the more content you feed your brain with, the more ideas you feed your brain with, the more your brain gives you those ideas back. Now the third thing here, which is my favorite, is what I call the what if technique. What if? Question things. Don't just take things for granted. Question things. Ask about things. Now just place what if in front of the questions and then try to find answers to those questions. What if we never went to school? Or you look at a product. What if it is being made this way? So you just question things. By questioning things, you give your brain that opportunity to explore and think wider apart from what it normally does. Now, this works for everything, including content creation, problem solving, business, storytelling. Just take any normal something and ask, what if? What if schools do not have grades? What if your phone could read your mind? What if internet was completely free? Ask yourself these questions. Now, let me give you a scenario. Let's say normal Gary soakings, Gary granules, sugar, dairy or milk. Somebody just thought about it. What if we package this thing into a more finished goods? And now you know the outcome. So take normal instances and then ask questions about it. What if there is something that can change? Now, by asking yourself these questions, you give your brain the potential to further explore, dive into deeper realms of what could be possible without normalcy. So here we're taking something that is normal and then we are further adding a layer on it, developing it into something a bit more productive or successive. So the more you ask, the more you get ideas. I would want you to try this. So the more questions you ask yourself, the more answers you are going to get. Now the fourth thing is to steal. Yes, steal like a creative genius. Now I got this from a book titled Steal Like an Artist. You are supposed to steal. When I was in JHS, my ICT teacher, Mr. Richard Ellis Malco, shout out to you wherever you are, told me something that would be very, very beneficial. Now, when I was a child, funny enough, I'd watch these movies and sci-fi movies, and so I was so, fanatic about being an inventor, being able to create something, developing something of my own. So I went to him and he was like, what do I want to be in future? And I told him I want to be an inventor, but I don't know what to invent because it looks like everything has already been invented nowadays. And he was like, yes, that is the point. Everything has been invented. And so what you have to do is to take what somebody has done, add a layer onto it, and it becomes completely new onto you. Just as I said, the Gary Soakins idea, let's say Kivo Gary, they just took an existing product, Gary with granules and then dairy, and then they just added something onto it. They just branded the whole thing, and now look at how the product is performing on the market. And so there are a lot of ideas. You cannot genuinely create ideas from scratch. These things happen rarely, but then you can also take somebody's ideas and then add your own touch to it, add your own creativity to it to be able to generate something entirely new. Now, me personally, as a graphic designer, this is something that I do most of the times. So sometimes I get a design job, I get a design gig that I'm to do. I have no idea how to arrange it, I have no idea how to design it, but then I go online, I go to Pinterest, I search on Google, I look at flyers that people have done, I look at what people did to get their flyers, I look at samples, and then I start picking a thing from it. So let's say I look at this flyer, I like the way the image is placed. Another flyer, I like the text, I like the colors in this flyer. Then I gather all those ideas, add them together, and create my own thing. So you have to steal, but then steal like a genius, and not just pickpocketing somebody's ideas. You can take somebody's idea and then add a layer of your own creativity or your own touch onto it. Look at Steve Jobs, the CEO and founder of Apple Incorporations. Mobile phone already existed, the device already existed, but then he took it, he didn't invent smartphones, he just took the smartphone or the phones that were in process that time and then made his own version out of it. And now Apple is the number one phone brand in the world. And so he didn't just create from scratch, he stole like an artist, he stole like a genius. He developed an idea which is basic into something more successive. Not even that, even musicians nowadays, almost 95% of the songs we listen to are songs that have been sampled or interpolated from other musicians' works years back. So just recently, let me give you a more recent example. Kwame Eugene released Odasem, which is a high life tune, but then that song is an interpolation and sample from that Lumbe and Euphoria Ponce song. And with that, he has also been able to create something. So for musicians, you don't just think about how to create a new tune, a new rhythm. Sometimes doing that can be difficult, but then you can listen to somebody's work and then do your own thing on it, add your own touch, add your own creativity, add your own input into it to be able to generate that idea. So don't just be sitting there struggling, searching for ideas. Look for an already existing thing, remix it, and you are good to go. Now the final step, which is very, very important, is to capture everything. Now when these ideas are coming, when you start having these ideas, you don't let it just pass into your head and leave. Remember in the beginning, the story I told you about what my father told me about ideas. He said the ideas would only keep coming to people who would constantly be developing these ideas. And how do you constantly develop these ideas? Now, one thing that I've noticed is that ideas come at the most unconventional times. You might be even taking a shower and then the ideas come into your head. You are sitting on the WC and then you have an idea. You are walking, you are taking a walk, you are doing something unrelated, and the idea drops into your head. Now the secret here is to capture that idea, write it down, journal it, so that you do not lose it. Now by capturing the idea down, maybe at that particular point in time you are not in a state to be able to actually ponder and develop that idea, but then you write it down to the point that you would be able to further work on it the next time you are free to do so. So here's what I've been doing. Me personally, on my WhatsApp, I have a space for myself. I chat, on WhatsApp there's a feature where you can be able to just send a message to yourself. And so if I'm just doing something, maybe I'm walking down the line, I'm bathing, I'm doing something, and then an idea pops into my head, I just take my phone, open WhatsApp, and then type the idea there, so that I do not forget, or so that whenever I am in need of that idea, I know exactly where to find it. Now you can also do this with your notes app on your phone. So there are phones that come with default notes app. If you do not have some, you can download Google Keep from the Google Play Store, which is a very great app. And whenever that idea pops into your head, write it down, type it down. Sometimes you can even use voice notes. Something comes into your head and then you don't even want to type, you want to say it. So you just record a voice note to yourself explaining what the vision you have or what that idea is, and then you put it down so that the next time you would be able to also further develop on these ideas. Not only that, keep a diary around you. Now you have to also have a diary. Now this is something that I encourage most people to do. Keep a personal diary that should be with you whenever you are going somewhere. The diary should be in your bag at most times, so that when you get the idea, let's say you are sitting in the lecture hall, you are listening to something, you are walking down the streets, you are watching a video, you get an idea, you take out your diary and then you write something down, so that in later times when you want to further develop that ideas, you know where to go to. Now all these things, capturing the ideas, is to make sure that when you need that idea most, you have an idea bank where you can go to, and then you have already written, already prepared ideas that you can take and further work on it to produce a final output. And so the goal here is to never lose any idea by capturing it as soon as it drops into your head. Now, my closing thoughts, final words: make it a habit. Make it a habit of developing ideas. Make it a habit of writing down ideas. Now, let me just run you through all that I have said. At the end of the day, the secret to always having ideas is to train your brain to think in ideas. Don't wait for inspiration, chase it. Now, let me just quickly summarize all the points that I've said. We've looked at about 4 ways. The first thing we said: feed your mind with new content. Feed your mind with valuable content. Read extensively, watch, listen to podcasts, have a close circle of people that can influence you in a positive way. Also, ask what if. Add what if to any normal question and give yourself room to think about it and develop ideas. And then remix and innovate, where I said you have to steal like a genius, steal like an artist. Take an already existing idea and then add your own touch to it. And then finally we said capture everything. Make sure whatever ideas comes into your head, you capture it down, you journal it, you write it down, and before you know, you would never run out of ideas. So ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today's episode on Panta Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it and you found something valuable from this video. If you did, kindly tell me what you learned in the comment section. Also, please like this video, like this podcast. Subscribe to the Panta Podcast channel so that whenever we drop more content like this, you would be notified. Now, there are plenty contents coming your way. Not just only me, we'll have guests on the show, people with other experiences to come on the show to also share their views or share their stories with the world. And so watch other videos on this channel. My name is Appiah Mehra. This has been Panta Podcast, where we talk about everything. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.